Hey everyone, it's Eve. I want you to take a deep breath and look at the clock. Think about the last hour of your life. What did you do? Were you working? Were you scrolling? Were you laughing with a friend? Now, I want to tell you something that might be a little uncomfortable. That hour is gone. You will never get it back. No matter how much money you make, no matter how successful you become, you cannot buy back a single second of the time that has already passed. We often talk about making money or spending money, but that's not quite right. You don't spend money, you spend your life. Every dollar in your wallet represents a specific amount of your life energy. Life energy is the only real resource you have. It is the limited number of heartbeats you have left in this world. When you go to work, you aren't just performing a task in exchange for a paycheck, you are literally trading a piece of your life for that money. If you make $20 an hour and you buy a $60 pair of shoes, those shoes didn't cost you $60. They cost you 3 hours of your life. 3 hours where you couldn't be with your family, 3 hours where you couldn't pursue your hobbies, 3 hours where you were on the clock instead of on the planet. When you start looking at the world through the lens of life energy, everything changes. The mall isn't a place of shiny objects anymore. It's a place where you go to trade your life away. Your Amazon cart isn't just a list of wants, it's a list of hours you'll never see again. The problem for most of us is that we are in a toxic relationship with our life energy. We work jobs we don't particularly like, to buy things we don't particularly need, to impress people we don't particularly care about. We are on a treadmill of more, and the faster we run, the more of our life energy we burn just to stay in the same place. This is the invisible trap of the modern world. We have been conditioned to believe that standard of living is the same thing as quality of life, but they are very different. Standard of living is about the stuff you have. Quality of life is about the time you have to enjoy being alive. Think about your real hourly wage. Most people think their hourly wage is what's printed on their contract, but that's a lie. To find your real wage, you have to subtract all the costs of having that job. How much do you spend on commuting? How much do you spend on work clothes that you wouldn't otherwise wear? How much do you spend on decompressing after a stressful day? The drinks, the takeout, the expensive vacations just to escape the office? And most importantly, how many hours do you spend thinking about work when you're supposed to be off? When you do the math, you might find that your $40 an hour job is actually a $15 an hour job. When Eve realized this, she got a little scared. She realized she was trading her precious monster hours for a bunch of gadgets and subscriptions that didn't actually make her happy. She was rich in stuff, but poor in time. How do we break the cycle? How do we stop the hemorrhage of our life energy? The first step is observation. You have to become a scientist of your own life. For 1 month, track every single penny that enters and leaves your world. But don't just track the numbers. Next to every purchase, write down how many hours of your life it cost you. When you see that a new smartphone cost you 40 hours of sitting in meetings, you might decide that your current phone is actually good enough. The second step is asking 3 life-changing questions for every expense. 1. Did I receive fulfillment, satisfaction, and value in proportion to the life energy I spent? 2. Is this expenditure of life energy in alignment with my values and life purpose? 3. How would this expenditure change if I didn't have to work for money? These questions aren't about being cheap or frugal, they are about being conscious. If a $100 dinner brings you genuine joy and connects you with a loved one, then it is a beautiful use of life energy. But if you're buying it just because you're too tired to cook because you worked too much, that's a leak. That's life energy being wasted. The third step is defining enough. We've talked about this before, but it bears repeating. Enough is the peak of the fulfillment curve. Up to a certain point, more money brings more survival, then more comfort, then more luxury. But after a certain point, more stuff actually decreases your fulfillment. It becomes clutter. It becomes something you have to clean, ensure, repair, and worry about. It becomes a burden on your life energy. When you find your enough, the treadmill stops. You realize that you don't need to work 40 hours a week for the next 40 years. You might only need to work 20, or you might decide to work intensely for 5 years so you can be free for the rest of your life. This radical shift in perspective comes from a book that started a global movement. It is often called the original FIRE movement book, Financial Independence, Retire Early. The book is Your Money or Your Life by Vicki and Joe Dominguez. This isn't a book about investing in the traditional sense. It's a book about transforming your relationship with money. It provides a 9-step program to reach financial independence, but more importantly, it teaches you how to reclaim your soul from the consumer culture. Vicki reminds us that we don't have to be victims of the economy. We are the masters of our own energy. When we stop wasting our life energy on the trivial, we finally have the resources to invest in the vital. Imagine a life where you wake up every morning and the first thing you ask isn't, "What do I have to do today?" but, "What do I want to do today?" Imagine a life where your time is truly your own. That life isn't a pipe dream. It's the result of a series of conscious choices. It's the result of valuing your life energy more than the shiny objects the world tells you to want. I'm Eve, and I'm starting to count my heartbeats. I think I'll spend the next few on a walk in the woods. If this video made you rethink how you spend your time, please give it a like and subscribe. Join the Eve Squad as we learn how to buy back our freedom. And I want to know, what is one thing you've bought recently that was definitely not worth the life energy it cost you? Let's talk about it in the comments. I'll see you in the next one.